Well, we appear to be back up functioning again, but I want to again send out the invitation, but I don't know how stable this internet connection is. I'm trying to invite people to join the group, but again, it looks like it might be down again. Okay, well, let's continue on here just for the 4 minutes remaining. So core group, and this is the group into which the minorities can assimilate if they're allowed to assimilate. So we'll call that core group B. And typically it's the name of the state. It derives from the core group, although not necessarily. So what's the core cultural group of Germany? Well, German. What's the core group of Italy? Well, Italian core cultural group. What's the core group of core cultural group of France? The French core cultural group. So the titular name of the state often indicates what the core group is. But what do you do with the United States or Argentina or Australia that are not named after an ethnic group where national identity is defined by territory? And you can still identify a core group in those societies. These are immigrant societies. And the core group is the group into which the other minorities within the society are evaluated. They tend to be evaluated and judged. We can consider the minorities in two categories. One category consists of the advanced groups that are relatively economically prosperous, and these tend to be groups that are a little further along in terms of the political mobilization process as ethnic groups within their society. So they tend to be groups that are more involved in economics and trade historically, and so they tend to be more prosperous and have greater economic resources. And these groups in the post-colonial state are groups that are considered to be relative to the core, are judged as being backward and childlike in their orientation. These tend to be groups that are poor, that are oppressed, that are marginalized. These tend to be groups that are exploited. These are African-American, Hispanic, and indigenous groups tend to be in this category. The term that we often use to describe all those people at once is peoples of color. These are groups that tend to be more socioeconomically advanced, and they tend to be evaluated as negatively as well by the core. The core will judge this group as childlike, and this group as well. The stereotype in Europe is the anti-Semitic stereotype, the stereotype of Jewish Americans. This group will tend to view this group in the core will tend to view these people with contempt and disgust. They'll tend to view these people with envy. Like, these people are doing well and being prosperous and high status through their socioeconomic achievements, but they don't act and look in ways that this group just assumes to be normal because they are the dominant core group within the society. So this group appears to be prosperous and successful by cheating, but they don't act in the right way. They'll be stereotyped as also people we see in Southeast Asia tend to stereotype Chinese minorities in Indonesia, in Malaysia. This anti-Semitic stereotype that this group is aggressive, pushy, willing to sell their mothers for money, and importantly, with regard to ethnic violence and conflict, they'll tend to be seen as not being loyal to the state that this group dominates. That they'll tend to be seen as not being loyal, as predisposed towards treason. And that can lead to a very dangerous situation if there's international conflict, where these groups will tend to be seen or perceived as dangerous agents of outside powers. And this reflects the position of Jewish, also as in the United States as an American European heritage society. I think you tend to find most Asian Americans stereotyped this way: Chinese, Korean, Japanese American. They will assimilate into the core group if they're permitted to assimilate, and you do see, I think, assimilation of these groups into the core group. But this group assimilation, because of the racial heritage of the United States based upon slavery. This is very difficult for these members of this group to be allowed to assimilate into this group. And this is, again, the main conflict area in American politics, conflict issue, cleavage issue in American politics is between so-called peoples of color. This group also, they might well be a diaspora group that is intensely concerned with the well-being of the perceived homeland country. So many Jewish Americans are intensely concerned about Israel, and they will lobby and push the United States to protect Israel at high cost, perhaps, to America's other interests in the region. And so, but I think that's where we have to stop today. Again, I'm sorry we had an interrupted class. In terms of other core groups, Argentina, the core group is Argentina. Brazil, of course, it's Portuguese is the core group. In Mexico, it's Mestizo. It shifted to be a mix of European and Indian culture. In Israel, it's Ashkenazi, white European Jews that migrated there. In the old USSR, it was Russia. In Yugoslavia, it was Serbia. In Pakistan, it's Punjabi, and so on. So I think that's where we need to stop today. And just to conclude that the distance between these groups will determine the relative difficulty of assimilation of the core group. Okay, I'm sorry we were interrupted. So I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye.